This system from Mesh Computers is actually pretty awesome. You're looking at an i5-7500, an ASUS B250M motherboard, a GTX 1050 Ti, 8GB of RAM, actually a stock Intel heatsink, a 1TB hard drive, and a 500W power supply, all inside the Corsair Spec 04. Now I'm actually going to be using this PC in my budget PUBG PC sort of parts and performance video that's coming out on Monday, so do stick around and make sure you're subscribed for that one. But in that video I do cover performance and the part selection and why you would choose those sort of parts for a gaming PC of this sort of budget. This is around about the £600 mark, which is actually a really impressive value for money, so do check that one out for a bit more information. In this one we're going to cover more about the build quality, why you would perhaps buy from someone like Mesh Computers, and more of a sort of review and scoring. Now, as I said, this is an i5-7500 as well as a GTX 1050 Ti and 8GB of RAM. That's kind of the main spec you need to be concerned about, and it's actually a really awesome value for money. I do want to mention that this specific PC and this specific £600 system spec does not include an SSD, which is kind of a fairly limiting factor. It does mean that the system overall is kind of slow to use, especially if you know, even the stuff like Windows updates are happening in the background that can significantly slow down the entire PC. So I really do recommend, if you are planning on picking this PC up, when you go to the link in the description for Mesh, just add an SSD as one of the optional components. It is very much worth it. Now when it comes to the actual system build quality, they've done a really good job here. The case doesn't allow for a hidden power supply basement, so they've basically just bundled all of the extra cables that the system doesn't need in the bottom, but they're well cable managed. They are very neat as well, so I'm not too concerned about that, and the overall aesthetic for the system is really nice. They've included 3 GameMax red LED fans on the front, which does leave a very nice aesthetic, and actually because this is a fairly thin plastic on the front, the LEDs in the dark actually light up the entire bit of plastic, which does look really cool and adds for a bit more of a gamery effect. Now unfortunately I don't think you can turn these LEDs off, so if you want a more subtle system, this one might not be for you, but if you do want that kind of gamery aesthetic, this one, well, I suppose might be for you. As I mentioned, the value proposition for this system is actually pretty great. As I said, you're looking at about £600 without an SSD, probably about £650 if you include an SSD in there as well, with Windows, with a 1050 Ti and a 7500, which is a perfectly good combination for 1080p high to ultra settings gaming. Let's take a quick look at the performance numbers. Starting off with 3D Mark Firestrike at 1080p, you're looking at 6,410 points, which is a very respectable score. Of course, you can check on 3D Mark's website to compare this to your own system or any others. In Dirt Rally and ultra settings at 1080p, you're looking at 65 FPS average, which is also really impressive, and in GTA 5 you're looking at a very similar 60 FPS average at 1080p on very high settings. These are perfectly playable FPS numbers, especially when you're looking at 1080p and the settings that we're running at here, and even on Unison Heaven you're looking at 58 FPS average on a sort of custom set of high settings. So as I said, this is a really impressive system for 1080p high to very high, even at ultra settings gaming. So as you saw, if you're running on ultra to very high settings, you're going to be looking at about a 60 FPS average, which is perfect for kind of like TV gaming or like standard 60Hz monitor gaming. If you do pick up a higher refresh rate monitor, you can of course just lower the settings, or if you have a little bit more money to spend, the overall base system is awesome. So if you want to go to like on Mesh's configurator, just upgrade it to say a 1060, then that's also perfectly possible, and you can have a pretty awesome gaming experience even at higher refresh rates. To give you a bit of the pros and cons for buying this sort of PC versus building it yourself, the actual price comparison is pretty similar here, especially once you add on the cost of Windows. You're looking at an almost identical price match. Also, the other thing to mention is, of course, with this sort of system, you get a full system warranty, so if anything goes wrong, you can just send it back, whereas if you have, if you build it yourself, then you have individual parts warranties, which in some cases can be easier. For example, if your graphics card dies, this chip has integrated graphics, so at least you can still use the PC while you RMA the graphics card, but of course, you know, you're still not going to be gaming on it, and of course, you still have to deal with the individual components, so it's kind of a little bit of hassle if you go with the individual build, but of course you get more customizability and potentially a little bit more value for money versus building your, you know, getting it built for you You don't have to build it, you don't have to worry about that. You get a full system warranty, but of course, if anything breaks, then you do have to send the entire system back rather than just an individual parts. Moving on to the scoring section, and of course the awards as well. For me, I think the value for money proposition is excellent here, and I'm going to go with a 5. Performance is actually going to be a 4 here, just because of the lack of an SSD means that the overall system performance is just really hampered by that. The overall gaming performance though is fantastic. Functionality for me, I think, is going to be a 4 as well. The actual temperature score, temperatures were fantastic. The CPU is running at 54 degrees Celsius and the GPU is running at a maximum of 69 degrees Celsius, but an average of about 60. So I'm really pleased with those. It is fairly quiet, but the front fans, not being able to control them in basically any way, including the LEDs, is a little bit limiting. Style for me is going to be a 4, and I think TechteamGB score is actually going to be a 4.5 and the Budget Buster award. It's a fantastic system for the price, and I really, if you're looking for a pre-built system at this sort of price point, I really do recommend it. Now, of course, do bear in mind that Mesh Computers are a UK-based company, so if you're not in the UK, I don't think that this review necessarily is going to apply to you, although of course the parts still will, so feel free to check out the parts in your sort of region, I guess. Also, if you want to check out this system and check out pricing, then feel free to take a look in the links in the description down below. If you want to support the channel, then feel free to take a look at the Patreon down below. There's plenty of rewards available for you depending on how much you're willing to help me out, and of course there's plenty of other links, including Amazon and Overclockers UK affiliate links. They don't cost you anything to use, just click them before you purchase stuff, and that still helps me out too. There are some other videos over here for you, and if you enjoyed the video, then feel free to check out the subscribe button and the bell icon too to be notified for new videos, and of course check out the PUBG video for this system coming out on Monday as well. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. As I said, there will be some others over here for you, and hopefully by the time this video comes out and by the time the PUBG video comes out, I'll be able to link it over there for you. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all in the next one.